That whole girl boss. I don't need a
What the f does that have anything to do with a tour being a disaster? A reminder that in no way is this video supposed to stir any kind of drama or create any kind of chaos. I just found this super interesting. I just want to jump into this as someone, you know, who tours with their band, who has been through the ringer, who has dealt with everything. Maybe wanted to bring a little bit of context. I have not watched this yet. I do not know if this video is biased or unbiased or maybe a little too harsh. I just thought it could be a place where maybe I could bring a little bit more context or understanding for some things that are going on. So let's check it out. Apparently, BLACKPINK's tour is a disaster.
very first concert in Seoul, kicking off their tour, and boy did a lot happen. From the whole group being unsynchronized and offbeat, lip-singing and bumping into one another, to Jennie performing one of her unreleased songs, Lisa pole dancing on stage, and Jisoo performing Liar by Camila Cabello, is enough to say that this concert has been full of surprises, and this is only...
I mean, look, we'll see. We'll watch more fair critique if there's a lot of choreography that's like off blocking, like off rhythm and stuff like that. But there's nothing wrong with covering another artist live, especially if it's done well. I don't think that's a very fair criticism. So let's keep going.
Day one of their tour. Also, a few K-pop idols were spotted at their concert. We had Minnie from G-Idol, half of Twice members were there. Leah and Yuna from ITZY were also spotted there, and Lisa's family came to support her. Anyways, let's get into these performances, starting off with their group performances. They performed Shut Down, Type of Girl, Tally, Kill This Love, Crazy Over You, How You Like That, Pretty Savage, Don't Know What to Do, and finally Love Sick, Girls, and then they each had their own solo performances. During their Type of Girl performance, I don't know what...
It's kind of dope that they all had their own solo performances. I mean, that's kind of cool. After doing like a whole kind of package of like the whole act, and then you have each member do a solo performance. That's actually pretty cool.
What the hell Rose was doing, but she was like 10 feet away from where she was supposed to be. Jisoo had to end up correcting her and pointing her to her correct...
Ooh, that's awkward. What, did she point her to the right place? That's rough.
What the hell Rose was doing, but she was like 10 feet away from where she was supposed to be. Jisoo had to end up correcting her and pointing her to her correct spot.
You also have to remember though, happens. Like, happens. Trust me. I have played with my band in the smallest of the smallest venues to relatively large venues. We have played from anywhere to from 7 people to 500, if not more. There are things that are out of your control. Obviously, blocking is usually within your control, especially when a lot of these acts have been rehearsing on the exact same stage because they come with the same setup in every single location. It's not like you're dealing with a new stage, new venue, new sound issues. They are rehearsing on the exact same stage with these same dancers, but accidents happen, mistakes happen. All right, so let's just get that clear for a second.
Then, during Crazy Over You, Jisoo bumped into Jennie because Jennie was in the wrong position. Lisa then drags Jennie to her correct position, and then the performance continues.
I mean, again, mistakes happen. Yes, you would hope that you are rehearsed enough that you wouldn't have these kind of mistakes, but especially first show, right off the top, you're nervous. Look, people can say, yeah, but you know, they're the biggest girl group in the world and all this stuff. It's like, you're still going to be nervous. I mean, who knows how many people they're performing in front of. In this video, yeah, it looks like she gets her to the right spot, but it looks like she nails her downbeat and her handoff to come into the song. So yeah, sure, fair criticism that you should be so well rehearsed that there are no mistakes in terms of blocking, especially, but also like, let's give some credit for also landing right into the moment and being right on mic, because watch.
Lisa then drags Jennie to her correct position. Boom. And then the performance continues. What's so funny about this is that on day 2 of their Seoul concert, to avoid this from happening again, Lisa signals Jennie with her hand to get to her right position. Also during that performance, it seems like Rose was having some mic issues during Jennie's rap verse. You can see her behind Jennie, signaling the people backstage to fix her mic quickly.
Well, that's not, look, it's, there's 2 things, okay, when it comes to mic issues. Yes, usually when you have the amount of money that's being put into their production and their world tour and their in-ear system and also their sound system. They have a mixing board side stage specifically for in-ears. Sure, you can say that stuff should never happen because you're not surprised by the location. The sound isn't bouncing differently off of the walls because you're in a differently shaped venue. Everything is the same. But look, there's crowd noise. You never know what's happening with your in-ears. Maybe your in-ears kind of slipped while you're doing a certain amount of choreography. And that's not, I don't know. To me, that's not a fair criticism just because you're simply pointing at a mic and being like, I need more in my ears. And I'm guessing because she's about to sing. And that's not really a sign of them making a mistake. I think just to be fair, I think to approach this very objectively as a performer myself, this is not a fair criticism. That is very normal, and that's someone who cares about the performance.
Before her verse came up. But
okay, so
although there was some minor mistakes and issues.
So literally, that's just someone caring about their performance. She doesn't want to sound bad because she wants to be able to hear her voice, and so points at the mic, looks over at the engineer, and says, I need more of myself in my ears.
Verse. You can see her behind Jenny, signaling the people backstage to fix her mic quickly before her verse came up. But, although there was some minor mistakes and issues during their performance, it was still pretty good. They performed well. Especially Lisa. Lisa has an amazing stage presence. Also
So, it might have just been a rough show. Interesting, I feel like this is a clickbait title. Tour is a hot mess. I have seen things on Twitter about it, but people on Twitter post takes all the time.
BLACKPINK performances are always better when they have backup dancers. Their backup dancers carries their performances. Without them, their performances.
I mean, she looked pretty tight right there. I mean, at least just in this clip.
Well,
this is someone who's at least.
Lisa has.
Oh, okay. So she's giving credit. Yeah, I mean, this looks passionate, into it, wants to put on a good performance, locked in.
An amazing stage presence. Also, BLACKPINK performances are always better when they have backup dancers. Their backup dancers carries their performances. Without them, their performances sometimes fall flat. The rest of their performances was decent.
Okay, but also fair criticism. That is a lot of groups. A lot of groups need backup dancers. There's a lot of pop artists who need backup dancers on the production to enhance the performance, to enhance the engagement on stage. So fair criticism, but also keep that same energy with every other pop act that there is, because so many of them have to use backup dancers, have to use super over the top gimmicks in order to deliver the show. Fair criticism, but also, keep it equal.
Until they performed How You Like That, towards the ending of their performance. It's like they all gave up and said, let's give them the worst show ever, because this was just terrible. They were so unsynchronized, you would think they were all performing different songs. The way BLACKPINK gives
seems a little bit personal from the person who is commenting. Seems like they're kind of coming from a certain side. I get what they're trying to say. Obviously, this is just a short clip. I don't know what it sounds like vocally. I mean, yeah, sure, this is off, and you never, as a performer, want to rob people who've paid good money from the experience of the show, and you should never, ever allow your own feelings of, oh, I just want to be out of here, I just want to get this over with. You have to erase all those thoughts from your mind, no matter how bad a show's going. It is always about playing to the back of the room. It is always about reminding yourself that there are people who have waited to see you in whatever city you're in for who knows how long. You have no idea how much they've supported you and how much they are the reason you are where you are. You always remove those thoughts and make it about those people.
Gave up and said, let's give them the worst show ever, because this was just terrible.
I don't like that. I don't like that kind of wording. This isn't very unbiased.
They were so unsynchronized, you would think they were all performing different songs. The way BLACKPINK gives sloppy performances, you would think they are being brutally overworked, but they are not. They have one of the best jobs ever. They work for a short period of time, then get a long extended vacation period. You would think, with all that time they have in the world, they would work on improving their weaknesses and get better at performing on stage together, and especially work on their stamina. But it's like with each company.
That's a fair criticism. I think it's a little bit harsh. I don't think this person has any idea how hard they work, because for all we know, they could all be working their asses off every single day. And so I think it's a little unfair just to assume that they're just not doing that with their free time. But it is fair to say that there is no excuse to not be locked in, given how big of an opportunity this is, the amount of money going into it, and the amount of time you have to prepare for it. That is fair.
Comeback, an era they keep getting worse and worse. Lisa is unfortunately the only one that gives her all.
Worse. Just,
all throughout their entire performance. And she actually tries to execute their choreography well, and brings all her energy out on stage.
Okay, I think that was the one before that seemed really into it and passionate. At least the person making this vid is at least giving props to a member who seems to be giving it their all.
Which is the bare minimum, but compared to her other members, she is basically carrying the group, performance-wise. Lisa even said, in an interview, "I wish each member has a stronger presence on the stage." Like she even knows that the other members don't give their all on stage every time they perform. Jisoo has never been the best dancer and performer in her group. Among her other members, she lacks significantly in that department. But I have seen some growth in her, especially during this solo. This is one of her best performances.
Well, okay, but to be fair, you just said you have all this free time. Why don't you practice? Why don't you improve when you can improve? And then going and saying this member wasn't the best at this and has clearly improved and has one of the great moments of the show during their solo performance. There's obviously improvement. There's obviously like work going into it. So again, it does seem a touch. It seems like they're trying to be unbiased, but there's 100% some preconceived opinions possibly. So I don't know if this is a fair take as of right now that this tour is a hot mess. That seems very strong, and all to the Twitter keyboard warriors. Seems like there's some really strong comments.
Like she actually had some stage presence and looked like she was having fun while performing. Her solo was one of the most satisfying performances to watch.
Okay, then she's working. I mean, that's rehearsal, that's practice, that's discipline. So
Rose and Jennie are very similar. It's really a hit or miss with them. They either give you the best performance of their life or the worst performance ever. They both also lack stamina, especially Jennie. They start off their performances with 100%, but when they start getting tired, they start getting sloppy and stop executing choreography well. Every time I post videos like this critiquing their live performances, I always get comments like these saying, "Well, I would like to see you go on stage and perform, try singing while dancing," and I always giggle at these comments, like I'm not the one who wasted majority of their teenage years.
So one, whoever made this video has already made critique videos of their performances, right? Two, though, that kind of a maybe response of like, I'd like to see you go up there and try to dance and sing at the same time. That's not really a fair response, because how I perform, I am very animated and engaging with the crowd. I'm not just running on the stage, jumping up and down on the stage. I am jumping in the crowd, sprinting around the whole venue, all while making sure that I hit the notes within our songs and the big vocals within our songs. And that's not me trying to like pump myself up. I just mean for context of where I'm coming from, of why I say this is a fair critique, is because 6 weeks out before a tour, or even 6 weeks out before we have a big one-off, let's say we have a big sponsored show, I will do 6 weeks of healthy eating. I will be working out super hard. I'm training hard. It's called like tour camp. Like I am prepping to go put on those performances day in, day out, every single night. There really is no excuse to not being in the right kind of conditioning to be able to put on a performance. And so I think that's a fair criticism, because conditioning is the one thing you have under your control as a lead singer.
Training to become a K-pop idol. Like, I think a lot of y'all forget that these girls literally were training almost every day for years to become a K-pop idol, debut, and perform well live. Like, every day these girls were singing, dancing, etc. And they were doing this for years. So forgive me if I think they should be at least good at their job with all that training they had to do. Like, sorry if I expect them to be able to sing live while dancing without losing their breath and stamina within 2 minutes of performing.
Okay, harsh, but fair. The way it's said is a little bit harsh, but I will also say, like, look, I don't know how their careers have been run. They might just be mentally exhausted. I don't know. You know, you can say whatever you want. Like, oh, they're millionaires. They have so much money behind them. Like, yes, I get it. That's true. But at the same time, you know, there could be years of mental exhaustion of what goes into making it to be this big. You don't know how their team is run, label partnerships, all that kind of stuff, management. I don't think it's fair to just not address, you know, there could also be just like exhaustion mentally, which is hard to deal with. Obviously, you don't want that to happen right before a huge world tour. I think it's worth bringing up. I think it's fair to just at least bring up that that could be something.
I also always get comments like these: their performance isn't bad, it's the camera angle. Their cameraman is terrible, although I do agree that camera work does play a major role in performances. If you have to depend on amazing camera work or your backup dancers in order to deliver a good performance, then you're just not a good performer. Camera work and backup dancers are all—
I mean, yeah, that's a center stage, like lifted shot. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. If you're a good performer, it doesn't matter where the camera's placed. You're a good performer and you're engaged with the crowd and you are executing the song.
all there to enhance your performance, but you as an artist should be the performance. If you are truly a good performer, somebody can take a video of you from the worst angle, and you will still be able to deliver and execute a good performance.
Fair.
Because you are just a good performer.
Fair.
BLACKPINK is considered one of the
All these people tweeting about this stuff and like what this video's title, I don't understand what makes this tour a hot mess, like a nightmare. There's nothing about like tour logistics going wrong. There's not a moment within like the concert that's like a disaster. It just seems like it might be a little bit scuffed, but I don't see anything that means it's like a nightmare. I guess that's where I'm confused.
biggest girl groups of all time. They all have millions of fans all over the world, and thousands of people pay to see them. They have a lot of hype, so the least they can do is live up to it, and for them, not being a super active group, they can't keep getting away with giving us terrible performances or making rookie sloppy mistakes on stage. Like, you have a reputation to uphold. This is what you trained years for. This is your job, so the least you can do is be good at it. You guys baby BLACKPINK too much, and that's why they come on stage and give y'all these terrible
I don't know about that last sentence about the babying part. Harsh but fair. You know, if there is a certain expectation that you have created for your performances and for your live show, you should try your best to meet those expectations. Like, that is fair. Fair criticism. I think the ending is a little harsh. You don't need to come after the fan base as if it's their fault. It is very fair to uphold someone to the expectation you have that they have curated of what they should bring to the stage.
performances y'all pay to see. I don't. If you are claiming to be the best girl group in the world, you better live up to it. Anyways,
I don't know if they claim to be the best girl group in the world. If they do, sure. I think it's fair to say you should live up to it. Again, though, this seems a little bit harsh. It seems a little bit subjective in the words it's using. I still don't see anything that is showing long excerpts of why the tour is a hot mess. So I thought this was going to be a lot more about logistics with the tour or things happening within the tour or during the shows that are disasters. It just seems as though whoever made this video does not think that the performances were very good. That doesn't mean the tour is a disaster.
let's talk about Jennie's new song. Jennie performed one of her unreleased songs, called Moonlight. Let's first talk about the performance. Although she was lip singing throughout majority of this song, and the performance had a few awkward moments, it was honestly not that bad. I loved that part she started dancing with the man.
Kind of wish they would have showed proof of lip syncing. Just want to throw that out there. BLACKPINK definitely performs with the track. So does everybody. Everybody performs with the track. I will also say there are a lot of artists who do lip sync during certain songs and during certain moments, especially with high choreography. And I'm not personally a fan of that, but keep it equal. Like, keep that same energy. There's a lot of pop acts that do that who are gigantic during certain songs, during certain parts. You know, maybe keep that all in context. Also, if you're going to say someone's lip syncing, provide proof that that's what's happening while on a tour. Just saying.
Male dancer behind the moonlight. That was clever, like she ate that. But I kinda cringe when he lifted her and she didn't point her toes. Maybe it's because I did ballet for a while, but that whole part was very hard to watch.
Didn't she just have like giant boots on?
Kinda cringe when he lifted her and she didn't point her toes. Maybe it's because I did ballet for a while.
I mean, she's got huge boots on. How are you going to point your I don't know. Look, if you're going to create conversation or you're going to create a criticism that someone's tour is a hot mess, and one of your criticisms is going to be that someone isn't pointing their toes, some of the criticisms in here have been fair. Many of them lacking some sort of proof. None of this points towards a tour that's a mess. It might point towards a tour that, you know, maybe after the first couple shows, it really tightens up and gets really sharp. But there's nothing here that really tells me that it's a hot mess.
But that whole part was very hard to watch. I don't even think she could have pointed her toes because she was wearing shoes. But anyways, the song was cute.
Then why even?
I'm glad she's embracing the fact that she is a lover girl, because what she was trying to do with her last song solo wasn't working. She was trying to have This whole, I don't need a man, I am better off solo image. Like girl, at some point you had more dating scandals than your actual music. Jenny is a
I don't care about any of this. You know, don't bring up, like, this is supposed to be a commentary on why this tour is a hot mess, because that's what the title is, and I saw it like all over Twitter, but none of this is a commentary on any of that. Again, nothing of this tells me that it's some disaster. I'm just being honest.
This whole, I don't need a man, I am better off solo image. Like girl, at some point you had more dating scandals than your actual music. Jenny is a relationship type girl, like she is the type of person that needs to be in a relationship. And there's nothing wrong with that, like she was even dating Kai during her solo promotions. That whole girl boss, I don't need a—
What the f does that have anything to do with a tour being a disaster? It has nothing to do with what everyone's been like tweeting about and whatever this video was titled. I'm not trying to be mean, just being honest. Like, I thought this was going to be a very different commentary on something happening with the tour.
Makes no sense. You couldn't get $1 out of me. Like she didn't get scammed out of millions of dollars by her manager. Like girl, let's be for real. Let's be honest with ourselves here. I saw a lot of people say they didn't really like this song, but this is honestly the type of songs I expect from Jenny. Like the song is Jenny Kim to the T. Jenny talks about the same things and—
All right. From everything I saw on Twitter, this video that was sent to me, people were hoping this tour would be a nightmare and a disaster. I think people have a lot against BLACKPINK. They feel as if it was like a manufactured group, something that was curated, got big because of a lot of money was put into it. They wanted these problems to happen, so they might be using a microscope in order to accentuate issues, and they're trying to create a story where there's actually not much in order to justify their reasonings for disliking them in the first place. Kind of feels like that to me. So let's put this one to bed. We don't got to talk about it anymore. BLACKPINK, have a awesome tour. I love you guys.